While lying in a hospital bed, after a car crash that nearly K***ed me, I woke up to hear my wife murmur to the doctor, "If I'm being honest, I was praying he wouldn't survive. That life insurance payout would have fixed all my problems and freed me from him." The doctor just stared at her, stunned. I closed my eyes and pretended to be unconscious. She had no idea I heard everything, and what I did next left her speechless. Not really sure where to start with this since I'm still basically stuck in a hospital bed and typing W1 hand. Nurse said I should take it easy, but I'm losing my mind here. So if this is all over the place, that's why. Also, I'm not fishing for pity. I just gotta get this out somewhere before I go nuts. If people got thoughts or ideas for what I should do next, drop them BCNGL. The anger is making me think wild stuff lately. I'll try to keep it short, but it's not simple, so I'll be real. My wife Sloan and I, we haven't exactly been couple goals for a while. We met 3 years ago through this running group thing. Not some rom-com meet cute. It was literally a random text from a mutual friend who dropped out last minute, and I ended up coaching her through her first 5K BC. She had no idea what she was doing. We hit it off. BC, neither of us was a runner. We just hated the same playlist and both faked tying our shoes to get out of the last lap. Anyway, at first it was fun. Laughs, dumb memes, going out for pizza. After pretending to be healthy, felt like we were both just trying to get through life without making it a whole thing, yuck? But after we got married, stuff just got boring. Not overnight, just small things. She started getting annoyed at dumb stuff, like if I left my sneakers by the door or forgot to buy oat milk again. Then last year, she lost her job. Not her fault. Company layoffs hit everyone, and it was like she lost a piece of herself. I tried to help, but she kind of went into her own world. She'd spend hours on her phone, doom scrolling, making snarky comments about people she used to work with, and complaining that we never do anything cool anymore. IDK. I tried to get her to come out with me and my brother Neil, or go to trivia night, but she always said she was tired or not in the mood for small talk. My parents would ask if she was okay. I'd say she was, but truth is, she just wasn't around much. She'd be in the same room, but not really there, if that makes sense. Things got weirder a few months back. She started getting twitchy about money, like asking if I paid the utility bill or why I bought new headphones when the old ones work fine. She'd make half jokes about, if only we could just win the lottery, or if I was single, I'd just move to Spain and never come back. At first, I thought she was just blowing off steam, but then she started getting mean, like making digs about how some people are just stuck in the same boring life forever, I guess. She'd say it while scrolling TikTok or whatever, not even looking at me. I'd get annoyed. Sometimes I'd snap back. Sometimes I'd just go to the garage and mess with my bike. I guess we both got used to being annoyed at each other. So anyway, I was driving home from the grocery store last week when a kid cut me off and I swerved into a parked van. Airbags went off. Everything went black. I woke up in the ER with a busted arm and stitches in my forehead, all groggy and out of it. They said I was lucky. TBH, I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. Sloan showed up later that night looking like she'd just rolled out of bed, barely said anything to me except to ask if I could move my fingers. Her face was all puffy like she'd been crying, but she barely looked at me. She said she'd come back in the morning, then left after 5 minutes. The next day is when it all got weird. I woke up to voices outside my curtain, kind of muffled, but I could tell one was Sloan. She was talking to the doctor, real low. I could hear her say something like, "It's just been so much, I don't even know what I'd do if something happened to him." So I figured she was worried. Whatever. But then she goes quiet for a sec, and then she says, actually says, that if she's being honest, she was praying I wouldn't survive, that the life insurance would have fixed all her problems and freed her from it. And I'm just lying there, listening to my own wife say this to a stranger. The doctor just stared at her, didn't say anything for a second. Sloan tried to kind of laugh it off. You know how people do when they say something totally messed up and try to make it sound like a joke. She said something about just being stressed, and he'd probably be better off without all my drama anyway. The doctor said he'd check on me later and left. Sloan came in after, sat down, scrolled her phone. I kept my eyes shut and tried to breathe normal. She didn't say a word to me. After a minute or two, she left again. I don't even know how long I lay there. I just kept thinking did I actually hear that? Maybe I was dreaming. I tried to remember every word, the exact tone. I replayed it in my head, over and over. It wasn't a joke. She wasn't crying when she said it. She sounded empty, like this didn't even matter anymore. Later on, Neil came by. He brought a bag with my charger and a hoodie. He asked if I was okay. I said, yeah, just tired. He said Sloan called him, told him not to bother coming, said I needed rest. That was odd, BC. She never talks to him unless she has to. He asked if we were fighting. I said, nah, just a rough week. He shrugged and said he'd hang around anyway. I told him to text our parents and let them know I was fine. He said they wanted to come but were waiting to hear from Sloan, BC. She said visiting hours were strict, except the nurse told me there's no such rule. I started to wonder if Sloan was trying to keep people away. That night, she came back for like 10 minutes, barely looked up from her phone. She didn't ask if I wanted anything, just complained that the parking was expensive and she was tired. I told her I'd figure out a ride home when I got out. She just nodded, said she'd see what she could do. Then she slammed the door on her way out. The nurse poked her head in to check if I was okay. I just said I was fine. I asked if Sloan said anything to her. She just said no. Sloan was in a hurry. I started thinking about all the stuff that's been off for months. The weird way she watches me when she thinks I'm not looking. The way she always double-checks the mail, the bills, the bank app. How she flinches if I ask about her day, like I'm bothering her. I remembered a fight we had about a month ago, over nothing. Literally just about which show to watch. She got so mad she pushed me hard, and I pushed her back. She screamed at me, said I was ruining her life, then locked herself in the bathroom for an hour. We both pretended it didn't happen after, but it's like she's been looking for a way out since then. I kept running it all through my head, thinking maybe I missed something. But I can't get over what she said to that doctor. She doesn't know I hurt her. She has no clue. Everyone thinks she's just stressed out, poor Sloan. Her husband almost died. But nah, she's checked out. She wants out, but she wants the money too. I'm not about to make that easy for her. I'm not gonna just sit here and let her walk all over me. I'm not stupid, and I'm not weak. I don't care if I gotta do this with one arm. I'm gonna get out of here, and when I do, I'll make sure she doesn't see it coming. I don't care what anyone says. I'm not letting her win. She wants me gone so bad. Let's see how she handles being left with nothing. I'll update when I'm home. IDK, what's next, but I'm done pretending. Update 1. Alright, so I'm back. Still typing with one hand, but at least I'm home now and not eating that hospital oatmeal. I thought the awkwardness would chill out once I was out of the hospital, but it honestly just got weirder. Like, if you've ever been in a room with someone who's pretending nothing happened when you both know it did, that's the vibe every second I'm near Sloan these days. Just walking on eggshells, but also like, I'm the only one glaring at the ground. First weird thing, right? I get home and Sloane's there, but she's acting like she's doing me this huge favor just by existing. She barely asked how I was feeling, just started talking about how she had to clean the bathroom because the nurse tracked in mud the other day. Pretty sure that didn't happen, but whatever. Then she asked if I was going to be able to work from home for a while, and if my insurance was covering everything. Real casual, but she kept glancing at her phone and didn't look me in the eye. I said I'd figure it out, and she just shrugged and asked if I wanted anything from the store. I said I was good, but she slammed the door anyway on her way out. Felt like she wanted to make sure I knew she was annoyed. I started paying more attention after that. Not like stalking her, but just trying to notice stuff I'd ignored before. She started locking her phone again, even when she was just going to the bathroom or taking out the trash. She used to leave it everywhere, but now it's always in her pocket or right next to her. One night, I caught her on a late-night call in the kitchen, whispering. When I walked in, she hung up fast, then snapped at me for sneaking up on her. I just said I was getting water, but she kept giving me these side eyes for the rest of the night. I thought about asking who she was talking to, but honestly, I already knew it wasn't good. I know people say you shouldn't snoop, but I just couldn't let it go. So I started checking our shared stuff. Bank app first. I noticed a couple weird charges, like $40 at a random candle shop, then another 100 at some online store I've never heard of. I didn't say anything at first, just watched. Next day, there was a 200 withdrawal. I texted her to check if she needed cash for something, and she just hit me back with, "It's for groceries, chill." But I checked the fridge, and it was basically empty, so nah. My brother Neil came by one afternoon, brought over some food, and just hung out. He asked point blank if things were okay with Sloan. I said not really, but didn't get into details. He said she called him last night to ask about the will, and if I had one. I laughed and said, "What?" He said she sounded dead serious. I honestly didn't know what to say, so I just changed the subject. But yeah, that was a new one. So here's where it gets even more off. I see a notification pop up on her phone one morning. She left it on the kitchen counter while she was in the shower. It was from Mads. Just said, "Got it, almost there." I don't know a Mads, and Sloan never mentioned one. I didn't open anything, just made a mental note. When she came back, she grabbed her phone like I'd tried to steal it. I started keeping a note on my own phone, just tracking every weird thing. All the times she was gone for hours and didn't say where. The money that kept disappearing. The way she'd get super defensive if I asked about anything. Honestly, I probably wouldn't have noticed any of it if it wasn't for what she said in the hospital. But now, it's all I can see. She started coming home late saying she was with Lauren or at the gym. But her gym bag never moved, and Lauren hasn't been around for months. I texted Lauren just to check in, and she said she hadn't seen Sloan in weeks, but didn't sound surprised. She just said, "Hope she's not dragging you into her mess again." I just left it there. So I started poking the bear a bit. I brought up the bank account again, saying things looked weird. She got mad. said I was accusing her of stealing. I said, I just want to know what's up with all the money going missing. She yelled that I never trust her and that I'm making her feel like a criminal. I said, if you're not hiding anything, why does it feel like you are? She shoved me hard, and I shoved her back. She slapped my arm, said I was being abusive. I said, stop gaslighting me. She stormed out and slammed the door so loud the neighbor texted to ask if everything was all right. I said, just a bad day. A couple days later, I found a stack of mail on the counter. Bills, some junk, but also a letter from a credit card company addressed to her. She never told me about that card. I didn't open it, but I took a photo for my notes. When I asked her about it, she said it was old and she forgot about it. I said, then why is it coming now? She just rolled her eyes and ignored me. I could tell she was about to blow. I asked my mom if she'd heard from Sloan lately. Mom said Sloan texted her to say I needed space and not to visit. I said I never said that. Mom was pissed, said she was coming over anyway. I told her to wait, but she just said, I'm not letting her push me out. Gilles, glad someone's on my side. I started moving my stuff out of the shared closet just in case. She noticed and asked what I was doing. I said, just making it easier with my arm still healing. She didn't press, but she didn't look happy about it. Sloane's parents called to check in. They sounded weird, almost like they were fishing for info, asking if I was taking care of everything and if I needed help with bills. I said I was good, thanks. After, I heard Sloane on the phone with her mom, whispering about me being difficult. Not sure what she's telling them, but it's not the truth. The last straw was when I caught her taking photos of my insurance paperwork with her phone. I asked what she was doing, and she said she needed to file something for the hospital. I said, I can do it myself. But she just glared at me, said I never let her help. I took the papers and moved them to my backpack. All this has me thinking, I'm not just going to sit around and let her play games. So I started closing down my side of things, set up my own bank account, started changing passwords, and kept all the receipts. I texted Noah, told him I might need help soon, just in case. He said, whatever you need, man. So yeah, that's where it's at. Sloane's getting sloppier, acting more desperate, and I'm not letting her get away with anything. She thinks I'm still clueless, but I'm not. I'm just biding my time and letting her dig her own hole. Next time she tries to corner me, it won't go the way she thinks. Her move. Update 2. Okay, so update time. And NGL, this part is where things start to actually get spicy. If you read my last post, you know the vibes in my hospital room are like, not good. Sloane's still acting like a stranger, except now she's got this edge. Like she's annoyed I'm not just fading away quietly. I'm also done pretending. I'm tired. My arm still sucks, but I'm out of patience. So I started putting things in motion. First weird thing, she shows up one morning with this big fake energy, like she's suddenly trying to be the supportive wife, asking if I want her to bring me new pajamas, telling the nurse she'll handle my discharge stuff. I know she's up to something because 2 days ago she barely said a word, and now she's acting like we're on some reality show. I don't even play along, just say I'm fine and don't need anything. She gets this look, like she's annoyed I'm not making it easy for her to look good in front of the nurses. Discharge day comes. My brother Neil picks me up, not Sloane. She doesn't even offer, just texts me, let me know when you're home. Neil helps me get my bag and stuff and asks right in the elevator if I'm sure I want to go home at all. I say, yeah, I got things to handle. He doesn't push, just says he'll be around if I need anything. I think he knows something's up, but I can't really explain yet. My parents are blowing up my phone with, let us know if you need groceries and want us to come over. And I just say I'm good, resting. I don't want them in this mess. When I get home, the vibe is so off. The house is way too clean, like she's been panic cleaning, but only the living room. Rest of the place looks the same. All the Amazon boxes are gone. I go straight to our bedroom, and there's this pile of my stuff on the chair, like random t-shirts, my running shoes, even my old favorite hoodie just dumped there. Not saying anything, but feels like she's prepping for something. So I start with the money. I log into our joint bank account, and it's even lower now, like she's been siphoning cash every couple days. I check my own account, the one she doesn't know about. Set it up years ago, never used it, but now I'm glad I did. And move all my direct deposits over. Takes a few clicks, but I'm not leaving anything for her. I also take my name off every shared bill that I can. Utilities, Wi-Fi, streaming, anything I can do online, I do it. I call the bank and freeze the one credit card where I'm the primary. Lady on the phone asks if there's been fraud. I just say possible unauthorized charges. She says she'll lock it and send a new one. Not gonna lie, it feels good. I send myself screenshots of all the statements just in case. Sloane gets home late that night. She barely says hi, just asks if I want to order takeout. I say I already ate. She slams the fridge shut and stomps into the bedroom. I hear her on the phone in the bathroom, voice super quiet, but I catch her saying, he's making this so difficult. I text Noah and tell him to keep watching the house, just in case I need backup. Next day, Sloan tries to use the joint card at the grocery store and it gets declined. She calls me, all fake sweet, asking if I noticed anything wrong with the bank. I say maybe there's a security thing. Banks are weird sometimes. She hangs up without even a goodbye. She starts getting desperate. She asks me to Venmo her money for a few things for the house. I say I'll get them myself. She starts leaving passive-aggressive notes on the counter about needing to pay bills, how some people apparently don't care about keeping the lights on. I pay the bills from my own account so nothing gets shut off, but she has no access. She asks if I could just fix the card situation. I say I'll look into it. I don't. She gets physical a couple times, like trying to block me in the hallway when I'm leaving for a walk. Doctor said I need to walk every day. I tell her to move. She shoves me. I push back. She starts crying and says I'm scaring her. I just walk out. Not proud of that, but I'm not taking it anymore. She slams the door so hard the neighbor texts me, asking if everything's cool. Over the next few days, I start telling people little bits of what's going on. Not the whole life insurance thing, not yet, but just that we're having problems. Sloane's been acting weird. Money's getting sketchy. My mom says she's not surprised. Never thought Sloane was stable. Neil offers to let me crash at his place. I say not yet. Even Lauren, Sloane's old friend, texts me asking if everything's okay. Says Sloane's been venting to her, but none of it makes sense. I start gathering paperwork. I print out all the bank stuff. Take photos of all the weird messages I catch on her phone when she leaves it unlocked. I'm not a hacker or anything. I just check the lock screen. Messages from Mads and Sophia about almost done. And just hang in there, it'll be over soon. I email everything to myself, just to be safe. I also start moving my stuff out of shared spaces. I take all my clothes, tech, and a few old photos and stash them in my car. I got my car back. It was in the shop for a couple weeks after the crash. Not totaled, just banged up. I start sleeping in the guest room. When Sloane asks why, I just say I need the space to heal. She rolls her eyes and says, "Whatever, I'm being dramatic." She starts calling her parents more often, complaining about me. I know because her mom texts me asking if I'm treating their daughter well. I reply with, "We're having a tough time, but I'm trying to be civil." Her mom doesn't reply. Her dad calls me, tries to warn me that if I can't provide for a family, maybe I'm not cut out for marriage. I hang up. I start talking to a financial advisor, not some fancy guy, just my friend's cousin. Honestly, not even that helpful. But he says as long as all the money is in my name, I'm good to go. I'm not trying to screw her over, but I'm not letting her screw me either. I cancel all joint autopay stuff, set up new ones in my name only. The tension is unreal. Sloane starts stomping around the house, slamming cabinets, slapping the kitchen counter when she can't find something. She starts picking fights over dumb stuff, like if I leave dishes in the sink. I stop responding, just clean up after myself and say nothing. Finally, she tries to call a house meeting. She sits me down and says we need to talk about the future. She asks if I'm planning to leave her with nothing. I say I'm just protecting myself. She says I'm being cruel. I say you said you wanted to be free. She looks at me like she wants to say something big, but then just shakes her head and walks away. I get a text from Lauren later that night asking if I need anything, like, "Do you need help moving out?" I reply, "Not yet, but soon." She says, "Call me if you need backup." I don't think she knows everything, but she suspects. My mom says she's coming to visit this weekend. I tell her it might get awkward. She says she doesn't care. I say, "Bring Neil." So now I got a folder of paperwork, all the receipts, all the screenshots, and I'm ready to actually confront Sloane for real, in front of people who will actually see what she's doing. Next step, I'm calling her out in front of her family, her parents, her sister, everyone. I'm not letting her spin this. She wanted me gone. She wanted the money. Now she's going to see what it's like to lose everything she thought she'd get. Update coming soon. I'm not backing down. Final update. So I guess you could say things finally boiled over. Not even in some dramatic movie way. More like a slow car crash. Yeah, bad pun, whatever. Where you see it coming but can't really look away. I woke up Friday and Sloane was already gone. Left some passive-aggressive note about some people needing to remember to pay the internet, which I already did, but whatever. I had this weird feeling in my gut all morning, like something was about to snap. I spent the day getting everything together. Folders with bank statements, screenshots, even a few printouts of texts I caught when she left her phone unlocked. My mom and Neil showed up around 1. Mom brought a bag of groceries, and Neil just looked at me like he was waiting for something to pop off. I told them I invited Sloane's parents for dinner, and her sister Madison too. My mom raised an eyebrow but didn't say anything. Neil just grinned. He said, "You sure you want to do this today?" I said, "Yeah. I'm tired of dragging it out." Sloane didn't get home till almost 6. She walked in, saw everyone, and just stopped like she walked into the wrong house. Her face went all tight. Then she smiled like it was no big deal. She said, "Oh, family dinner, how nice." I said, "Yeah." Figured it was time to talk about things. She shot me a look, but sat down at the table anyway. Her parents came in a few minutes later, already a little frosty toward me, and Madison just went straight for the fridge without saying hi. It was awkward, like everyone was waiting for someone else to start yelling. We ate in silence for a while. My mom tried to make small talk, asking about work and if anyone wanted more salad. Sloan just picked at her food, scrolling on her phone under the table. Her dad finally said, "So what's this all about?" I looked at Sloan and said, "I think it's time we're honest about what's been going on." She rolled her eyes and said, "Here we go." I pulled out my folder and put it on the table. I started with the bank stuff, how the joint account kept shrinking, how she was moving money around, buying stuff, and making withdrawals without saying why. She cut me off, said, "It's my money too, what's the big deal?" I said, "It's not about that, it's about you hiding it and lying." Her mom tried to jump in, said, "Marriage is about trust," but I just said, "I'm not done." I showed a screenshot of that text from Mads about freedom soon. Madison looked up, confused. Said she didn't send that. I said, "Not you." Another Mads. Sloan said, "You're spying on me now?" I said, "You left your phone unlocked. That's not on me." Her dad tried to say I was being controlling, but I cut him off and said, "You want to hear controlling?" And then I told him what I heard in the hospital. I said, "You want to know what your daughter said to the doctor when she thought I was out cold? She wished I wouldn't survive. Then she'd be free and get the insurance." The room went dead quiet. Sloan's mom covered her mouth and stared at her. Madison just said, "What?" Sloan tried to laugh it off. Said I was making things up. Maybe I was dreaming. I was on meds. I said, "I know exactly what I heard." And so did the nurse who walked in right after. I looked at her parents and said, "You raised someone who would rather see me dead than actually talk about her problems." Sloan jumped up, slapped the table, and said, "You don't know what it's been like living with you." I said, "You mean living with someone who pays the bills and tries to fix things while you run around behind my back?" She shoved her chair back and started to leave. I said, "Sit down, I'm not done." She tried to push past me, so I blocked the door. She said, "Move." I said, "Not till we're done." She shoved me. I stepped back but didn't move. My mom stood up, said, "Enough, let's just finish this." Sloan looked at her parents for backup, but they just stared at her. Her dad finally said, "Is this true?" Sloan wouldn't answer. I put the rest of the paperwork on the table, proof that I'd moved all my money, closed the joint cards, and that she was now on the hook for every bill she signed for. I said, "You wanted to be free? You're free. You're also broke, and everyone here knows why. You tried to play me. Now you get to clean up your own mess." Madison started yelling at her, asking how she could do this to someone who literally almost died. Sloan tried to yell back, but Madison pushed her. Sloan slapped her arm. Her dad told them both to sit down and shut up. It got loud and messy, but nobody was on Sloan's side. My mom just stood there, arms folded, watching. Sloan finally just grabbed her bag and stormed out, slammed the door so hard the frame rattled. Her mom started crying. Her dad apologized to me, said he had no idea, and that he'd make sure she didn't come back tonight. Madison hugged me and said, "I'm sorry for everything." Neil just fist bumped me and said, "Told you this was going to be wild." I packed up a few more things and texted Noah that I might crash at his place for a bit. My mom said I could stay with her, but I said I needed a little quiet first. I sent Sloan a text that said, "All the paperwork's in the folder. You know where to find it." She didn't reply. So yeah, that's how it all went down. Not some neat ending. But I'm not the one losing sleep anymore. Her parents know the truth. My family's got my back, and Sloan's got nothing left to hide behind. I know it's not over for good, but I'm not waiting around for her next move. If you're reading this and thinking I should have gone easy or just walked away, nah. I heard what she said. I saw what she did. I'm not letting anyone get away with that. I'm not here to make peace. I'm here to make sure she never forgets how it feels to have everything pulled out from under you, especially when you thought you were the one holding all the cards. Anyway, thanks for reading if you made it this far. I don't know what's next, but I know I'm not letting anyone walk all over me.